Hi, I'm Gina. Welcome to Sacred Woman, Sacred Tips. I may have got the name of my own YouTube wrong there, but anyway, welcome. Today I want to talk about boundaries. Boundaries. That sounds like a really military kind of thing, right? It sounds quite almost quite aggressive, really like rah rah rah. But it's not really. Boundaries can be very subtle. Boundaries what help hold things in and stop things spilling out, you know? Think about a pie, you know? The pie I'm thinking of right now is like a quiche, you know? You make a quiche, and I love food and cooking, so I'm going to maybe use a few food analogies throughout my YouTubes, but it's like a pastry base, but it's got sides that go up, and then you pour the mixture inside, and then you cook it, and it's, as long as you make that base nice, smooth and airtight, it will hold the quiche. But if you don't, when you open the oven, all you're going to have is a soggy mess, soggy pastry with everything leaked out onto the bottom of the oven. So that's what boundaries are. They stop things spilling out and hold things in. I used to be a people pleaser, and what comes along with being a people pleaser is you just do what people want and what they like. You never think about yourself. You always think about other people first, and you just leave yourself behind, you know? And it's so sad, because the only thing that comes from that, and I remember this myself, is becoming a very resentful, very bitter person. Because when you don't meet your own needs and you're not true to yourself, it's actually unnatural. So what happens is, within your mind and your body, that your body resists it, your mind resists it. So you could end up with headaches, stomach ache, you know, all sorts of different ailments. You know, there's loads of things that can come up from not being true to yourself. Oh, for me, I developed thyroid problem. Not having boundaries, not saying no when I wanted to say no, or saying yes when I wanted to say no, you know, not speaking up when people were doing things I didn't want them to do, you know. It's really not healthy for you. It's a terrible thing to experience. And so for me, one of the first sister circles I had was all about boundaries. And a good friend of mine said to me once, you know, Gina, your lack of boundaries will make any man a villain. And when she told me, it was like, whoa, because the penny dropped. You see, when you don't have any boundaries, the other person doesn't know how to handle you. They don't know where to go, and they'll push and push. And if they're that kind of character, they'll push and push and push. You'll keep saying yes when you don't want to, and then you'll resent them, because in your head, they should know better. This is another thing that people without boundaries do. They make an assumption that the other person will act like they do, or can read their mind, and will stop naturally. No, they won't. They won't, because, you know, that's just how people are. Like, I used to joke about it with my friend, like, I can be a bit of a chatterbox, but if you don't say to me, oh, we've got to go and do something or whatever, I could just sit and chat to you for ages. You might have an appointment. You're just going to sit there for an extra hour talking to someone when you're meant to be somewhere else, because you couldn't say, sorry, I've got to go. Do you get what I mean? That's the problem with a lack of boundaries. You make the other person a villain, and then you start to blame them for doing things that you didn't want them to do, and that's how you get taken advantage of as well. Because if someone who is always used to pushing boundaries and not ignoring other people's boundaries comes along, they'll carry on doing that. They won't change because of you, no matter how nice a person you are. In fact, the more nice you are, the more likely you are to have your boundaries broken. But not necessarily true, actually, because You can be a really nice person. And in fact, when you are a really good person to someone and you have clear boundaries, you get so much more respect and you're much more liked. When you were around someone who doesn't respect their boundaries and does all these things and becomes a bit of a martyr, and every time they do something, they, I know someone who liked to be kind. Now, I don't know, someone said something about kindness once, and I'm not too sure about that. See, they tried so hard to be a kind person, to be viewed as a kind person, that they would go, yeah, yes. And they even had that kind of demeanor of like, of course, anything you say, I'll do, no problem. But when they were doing whatever it was you asked them to do, they'd moan. Oh, it's going to take me a bit long. Oh, this is taking ages. Or this is but you said you'd do it. Do you get what I mean? It's like either do something with a full heart, open heart, that you want to do it, or don't. Better to say no than it is to go ahead and do something you don't want to do than complain. I don't really hold to that. I'd rather tell you no, and that's it, people who don't have boundaries, people who don't know how to manage boundaries, would find something like that offensive because they think that you're supposed to say yes to everything, regardless of how you feel. But it's not true. And then people that will offer to do things and then complain about it again, I just think, that's really on you. You don't have to do things. If you want to do something, do it. And if you say you're going to do something, then do it with a full good heart or not. It's as simple as that. And you can change your mind anytime too. It's not like just because you said you were going to do something, now you're stuck with it. People change their minds all the time. Circumstances change all the time. We're all grown-ups, mostly. So what you have to do is understand that boundaries are essential. Essential. They're essential. They're the first part, to me, of self-care, self-love. Having good, clear boundaries is the first step to self-love, true self-love. Because once you've learned to protect your boundaries and respect other people's boundaries, you are so much happier as a human being. You must learn to respect other people's no, just as you expect them to respect your no. When I say no to someone, I'm saying yes to myself. When someone says no to me, they're saying yes to themselves. And how can you have a go at someone for saying yes to themselves? If you do, then that's a clear sign that you have issues with your own boundaries and boundary setting. And really, that's not my problem. That's yours. Again, clear boundaries. It's not like you have to take on board other people's crap either. People are going to do silly things and be their own way and have their own wounds and their own journey and their own troubles. That's fine. But you don't have to absorb that. And that's what having clear boundaries is about. I used to see myself as this empath, and I've heard a lot of empaths say that they can't help it. They just absorb people's energy. I absorb a lot of people's energy. We all do, because energy is everywhere. We're always absorbing it and letting it out and bringing it in and bringing it out. We do it all the time. But you have a choice as to how you want to absorb that energy. If you know that you're around someone who continuously drains you, then choose not to be around them. Choose to either limit your time around them or choose not to be around them. Or you can, if you get bold enough and strong enough, you can say, I'm sorry, I can't spend time with you because when I spend time with you, this is how it makes me feel. I said that to someone once and they just couldn't understand it. They were so like, I said, when I find it a bit difficult to be around you, whenever I'm around you, I find it really hard and a lot of energy, and I'm very uncomfortable. And I was hoping it would open a dialogue so that we could talk about it. And instead, the response I got was, well, there's nothing wrong with me. That's your problem. I'm fine. I don't know why you would feel like that. And it was so bizarre because it's easy for any of us to make anyone feel a certain way. And it's interesting because that same person had once said to me about my energy. So I just think if you can observe someone else's energy, then why cannot that be the same for you? But then again, that's not my problem. And in the end, I chose to remove myself from that friendship friendship. Because I know that's really extra, but it is. If I was writing it, I would have it in inverted commas, because actually I'm not sure it was a very, I'm not sure if it was a relationship of sorts. A friendship, I don't know, because a friendship would require people to be friendly. Yeah, but yeah, so for me, boundaries is the first step to self-love. And if you don't have any boundaries, or you think you don't have any boundaries, then you do have boundaries, but you're not protecting them. And I bet you spend a lot of time resenting people for what they do or don't do for you or to you. And if you're honest with yourself and you say to me that you don't have any boundaries, I would challenge you to look at your life, write a journal for a week of your experiences, and there will be something in there where you weren't happy with the way you were treated by someone, and you'll be blaming them for it, not yourself. When actually it's you that should be blamed for that, because you're in charge of your own boundaries, not them. You're only in charge of what's going on with you. You can only control what goes on for you. You cannot control what other people are doing, what other people are going through. Whatever their experiences are, that's their experience, not yours. So whatever crap they're throwing at you, don't take it personally, and understand that it is them and their issue. But what you do have control over is how you react to it and what you then do with it. So yeah, that's my YouTube today on boundaries. What kind of boundaries do you have? Or are you someone that says you have no boundaries? Or have you become rigid with your boundaries? Because obviously your boundaries can change as well, you know, so you have to really look at that. If you're having any issues with any of these things that I bring up in my YouTube, then feel free to contact me, and we can organise a clarity session to work out some basics about what's going on and see if I can help you on a longer term basis. I have a weekly sister circle on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. I am also going to be launching a course, Sacred Woman, Sacred Life, in the spring, and I will be having a summer event. So please feel free to join. Follow me on any of my social media. My Instagram is thegoddesswithin_limitless. Follow me, and all my stuff is always put up there. I also have a book club called Books Recommended by Gina. It's a book club where you can it's a private Facebook group. I review books that I've read that have helped me through my life, and give you an opportunity to understand what the book's a bit about. It might be a book that you've never read before, so I try to help people by sharing the knowledge I've used to learn for myself. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you at the next one.